Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jess and I find starting a video is really awkward. I'm happy to say goodbye at the end and I feel like ending a video is so much less awkward than an introduction. But this will be my mid-year wrap up. Now like several years ago when I was kind of first starting with BookTube, I recorded a mid-year book tag and that is still going around at the moment. However, I've had a look at this book tag and there are lots of things on there that I couldn't really answer. So I thought I'm just going to do a mid-year wrap up this year, especially because I haven't read as much as I would have liked. Although I've read 17 books so far this year, and to some that might seem like a lot, and to some others that might seem like not very much. It also depends how much time you have on your hands, because one of the booktubers, I mean, it may be her only job to read books and review them, create content. So they're slightly different, but she's read like 70 odd books this year. That is insane. So I know some goals are like 120 or 100 books in the year. I don't think I have set myself a goal for this year. I just wanted to keep them kind of posted on my Instagram on stories, and I haven't done that. So we're going to update my Instagram in this video as we go. So I'm just going to talk briefly about kind of how I felt about the book, if I'd recommend it, what rating I gave it, but we're not going to go into too much detail, otherwise I could talk about each book for like 10 minutes and that would be an extra long video. So the first book I read this year was a book given to me by my boyfriend for Christmas, and that is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and I loved this book. I think if we're rating out of 5 stars, I'd probably give this 4.5. I didn't love it enough to give it a 5 star. Now, it's 6 friends on a college reunion. One of their friends died when they were back in college, and it's like everything is actually, the truth is coming out years later. I can't remember how many years later it is, 10 years after graduation. So we're following someone called Jessica Miller. So I do believe he picked this up because the main character was called Jessica, but it was such a good story. It was very interesting to follow. I would definitely reread this one. I definitely recommend it. It's quite, I want to say a cozy mystery, but it's not. I wouldn't say it was that cozy at all. Let's scrap that. So it's not a mystery thriller. It's not kind of too dark or anything like that for a thriller. It's like the twists and turns are a little bit shocking, but nothing like takes your breath away, anything like that. Again, I would recommend it. I did love it and I think I would reread this book. So 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Next up, I read You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Awake Emeze. I believe that's how you say their name. I'm sorry, my books just need a good wipe over. I love the title of this book. How beautiful is this title? Like, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty is just, I absolutely loved this book. I've read another book by them. I think it was called The Death of Ivak Oji, and I wasn't amazed by that book. I preferred this one. A lot of booktubers preferred that one, but this one to me, see, thinking back on it, I gave it like a 9 out of 10, something like that, but I think I actually want to give this a 5 star. Like, even now thinking about it, I absolutely loved it. So she's very much not into dating. However, she starts a relationship with someone, and this is going to sound really bad because she goes away with them and ends up falling for their dad, and she doesn't mean to. It's not like she plans it. It's not like she wants an affair or anything like that. But the whole story and the characters, I couldn't put it down when I read this. So I think I'm going to change my rating. I think I'd give this a 5 star. So quite clearly, I would recommend it. Next up, I read Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka. I'm not sure how to pronounce names. That is the worst one to pronounce for me. Like, worst, not the worst name to pronounce for me, but names are the worst for me trying to pronounce. I don't remember an awful lot about this one. I do know we are following somebody that is on death row and they're about to go down for murder. I can't remember. See, at the top, in the back back of my mind, I'm thinking they were guilty. I think to start with, we're unsure if they were guilty, whereas I'm thinking, as far as I can remember, they were. I'm just going to double check what I rated it last time, because again, not much comes to mind. Okay, so I gave it a 9 out of 10. I've put this book is heavy mentally and really makes you think. There's so much I could say about this book, yet I don't know where to start. If you're a reader, then I'd highly recommend. Okay, so it does sound like it was quite a heavy one, but I can't remember like a lot about it. I think I'd reread it. So for now, I'd probably say this is a 4 out of 5, which is hard for me to rate because I don't remember an awful lot. I do remember enjoying it. Maybe if I read the blurb again, it would kind of... I do remember it follows girls throughout his past, I believe. Okay. Okay, I think I would reread this and I would recommend it. Let's go for a 4-star. Yeah. Which is weird because my memory sucks. Don't know if this is ready for me to drink yet. So the next book I picked up was a book. So me and Josh have a kind of 100 dates to do throughout the year scratch off poster. I don't think it's supposed to be in a year, I'm not sure. However, it's like a bucket list of dates. And one of them is buy a book for each other. So Josh got me This Light Will Kill You by Chelsea Pitcher. And I did really enjoy this. Again, I can't remember my rating, so we'll just double check. So I gave this an 8.5 out of 10. I enjoyed this a lot. I find these books quite entertaining when they write teenagers to be so brutal. I do remember this book. I think I'd actually rate it better than that. I do remember this one. Okay, yes. So they all go to a party and it's like somebody is after them and they've all got these secrets. They're all trying to hide from each other, all trying to figure out who's after who. It was a very good read. I think this is like, I don't know if this would be classed as a young adult. I think it would be. Like the writing in there is very big, it's very fast paced, really enjoyable. I can't remember all the secrets, but I do remember, so it's 5 survivors arrive at an isolated mansion expecting to complete a contest with a 50,000 prize. Nobody questions the odd, rather exclusive invitation until it's too late. 5 arrived, but not all can leave. Will the truth set them free, or will their lies destroy them? I did really enjoy this book. Other than that, I don't think I'd say too much about it. I think I'd give this a 4-star. I don't think it was amazing enough for me to rate a 5, and I don't think it's closer than a 4. So, but 4 still a really good rating, and I would still recommend it. Next up, I read Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cottram, and I loved this book. This is definitely, again, another 4-star. Not everything will be a 4-star, I swear. I really liked this book. So this is a fake dating trope. However, who she's fake dating isn't who she fancies. She's actually in love with who she's fake dating, their sister. And this book was so juicy. So she is pretending to, well, she's actually willing to marry this man so it can help both of them. So it gives him the favour, as in he needs to marry to be able to get his sister the money she needs to open up her business. I think it's a cafe she wants to open, and he needs to marry. And then this, our other protagonist, or the main protagonist, she needs to marry for money as she is completely broke. So they strike up this deal that they will get married, and it's fake dating until she realizes she went on a date once and it was the best date of her life with this girl. It turns out to be his sister, and it is juicy. It is a very good read. I would give this a 4-star. Loved it. See, I can remember some things. Next up, we have Ninth House by Leah Bardugo. Bardugo. Why cannot, why? So this book was a long book. I believe this dragged out somewhat. I think it's like 450 pages, and I liked the premise, I liked the story. It was just way too long. So our main protagonist is called Galaxy, which I thought was really sweet, but they shortened it to Alex, and it's like, come on, if you're going to call your character Galaxy, call them Galaxy. Anyway, so she goes to the 9th house, or to this college, university, I can't remember which one it is, but she can see kind of ghosts. And it is a fantasy book initially, and this kind of is set in kind of like real world though. It's not like it's set in a alternate, like a made up like world or universe. It is set in our world, our time, and there is magic that people don't know about, and this kind of university or wherever she is, they keep that hidden. There's a lot of secrets. The person that's been training her goes missing, and she is left to deal with quite a lot. And it is a very good story. It was just too long, and it dragged so much. It was unnecessarily long. So let's double check what I rated it the first time. See, I can remember this one, and I do know that I enjoyed it. I just had to keep putting it down. So I gave it 5 out of 10, which feels really low. But then again, out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it a 3. Yeah, I'd probably give this one a 3 stars. I didn't realise this was going to be a fantasy when I first picked it up. I'm not into reading fantasy at the moment. Book was a bit too long. So I'm a bit hit and miss with fantasy books at the moment. So that's somewhat true. However, I do want to get back into reading fantasy, and I did enjoy this. I would recommend it if you're into reading fantasy books and you don't mind the length, because I do think a lot of fantasy books are very long books. So 3 stars for that one. Coffee sip, coffee break, if we will. I made a good coffee. Yeah. Next up, we have Abby Jimenez, Part of Your World. This is the very first Abby Jimenez book I read, and I've added every other single book of hers to my Amazon wish list. I do own another one of hers. It's upstairs because although I've got my book wall, I have my TBR list, like my new books, on my desk upstairs. So her latest book, Yours Truly, is actually upstairs ready to read. 5 stars. I loved this book. I love this book a lot. So we've got 2 protagonists. We've got, I can't remember their names, Alexis and Daniel. Is that right? Yes. So Daniel is from a small town, and it's very much like he helps everybody in this little town. He looks after everyone. He runs like this B&B. He makes his own like woodwork shop. He's got like, he makes tables and all sorts of things, and he's very sweet. And our protagonist Alexis breaks down, which is how they first meet, because she's driving through this small town. She's gone to a funeral. However, she is from a city. She's a doctor, and she's got a very different life to his, and how their lives mix in together and how they are with each other. I absolutely loved this book. I really, like, I don't want to say any more than that. It's like small town vibes, beautiful, beautiful kind of love story. And you know, there's always like, in most romance books, there's like the 3rd act breakup, and this one wasn't painful at all. Like, I cannot fault this book. 5 stars, would recommend. Now, if you're a reader, you should know about this book. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, because this has been everywhere. And it's also about to be turned into a movie. So there's going to be a film adaptation, and Blake Lively is playing our main character, and I'm so excited for it. I love her. And I also love who's going to be playing one of the male leads as well. Super excited for it. I could make a whole video just buzzing on the fact that this will be a film. Although this book, there is some really sad moments, there's some dark moments, and I do have the prequel to this, which Josh has recently bought me, so hopefully I'll be reading that soon. So Lily is our main character in this book, and I don't even know where to start. I gave this a 5. Well, I didn't. I gave this like a 9.5, I think, out of 10, but we're doing stars right now. I'm giving this a 5 star. I did love it. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely loved it. There was moments my eyes welled up, and a book hasn't made me tearful in such a long time. So I love it. It's beautiful. Do recommend. Lily, it's a bit about her past, because someone from her past that she helped out when she was younger, it was kind of like a first love romance, and she meets him again. However, she only sees him when she's got into a relationship with somebody else who actually ends up proposing to her. So it's about different relationships she has from this new guy that she's met on a rooftop. He was very kind of like angry at the time, like kicked a chair, didn't realize she was there. So they meet on this rooftop. They begin a love story. She becomes really close, like best friends with his sister. And then later on, further into the book, we see that childhood friend again. And so much happens. It's absolutely just so hard to put down. I really recommend it. 5. Oh, next up, I read a book called Upgrade. I'm just going to check who it was by, because I've looked high and low and I cannot find it anywhere. Now, all my books I thought seemed to be behind me now. However, I cannot find this book. So I don't know what I've done with it at all. So on my Instagram stories, we've got here that I gave it 8.5 out of 10. Not sure how to summarize this one. Really enjoyed it. So clever and highly recommend. And I've thought back about this book, because I think out of 5 I would rate this like a 3. And it's nothing against the book or the story, because like, hang on, I need to move myself. I'm a bit stiff, sat on the floor. Okay, so Upgrade. Did I say who it was by? Blake Crouch. I'll put up a picture so you can see what I mean anyway. So this book, wonderful idea, really well executed, really good characters, really good structure. It's a sci-fi book, and I'm really into my sci-fi books. I love a good sci-fi book, and I wish I read more of them. However, this one just didn't stick with me the way I expected, and the idea of it is so good. It's like he gets like his body upgraded without willingly doing it himself. So in this universe, you can alter your body in different ways, and he goes into this building and it's all been pre-planned. So something goes off. I'm getting a phone call. BRB. Okay, so where was I? This explosion goes off and it affects his DNA, and it almost gives him things like a type of superpowers. So he's like really strong, he's fast, he can think really quickly, like he goes through books in seconds, and like he retains visual like memories from specific times, absolutely everything. So he's so advanced. And it happens also to his sister. They also believe their mum to have died, and I can't remember whether she ends up being being alive or not. And he ends up being on the run through most of, or quite a lot of this book. And he finds out that his mum's plan, I can't remember whether she's alive or not, but I know her plan gets continued by other people, and she's trying to spread this upgrade through to, I think it's like a city or something. And there's been a test run where they've run it on some other location, and they are dying where it's not kind of gone as according to plan. So it is a very interesting concept. It's a very good book. It was just not my cup of tea. I was just not that connected to it. I didn't care enough. So I'm going to give it a 3 star, because it was good and there were points that I did enjoy and it was interesting. I just wasn't as bothered as I thought I was going to be. Next up, I read Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason, and this was recommended by a YouTuber, and she recommended a load of books and said this one was really good. I don't I don't think I want to listen to her recommendations again. I bought 3 of her books, book recommendations. I read 2 of them and they were quite disappointing. So with this one, we are following a protagonist called Martha, and she's very kind of like depressed. She has got a type of I don't know whether it's I think it is a mental illness. However, it's about her life, and you go through years of her life, how she deals with things. The fact that she's not diagnosed straight away, or she is, but her mother doesn't let her believe she's been diagnosed. And it's about how she treats people, her relationships with people, and it's very sad. And there's I just read the back, and it's like, it is impossible to read this novel and not be moved. It is impossible not to laugh out loud. Extraordinary. I don't remember there being any laugh out loud moments. I remember it being quite deep, quite emotional, and really kind of hits you if you've had kind of mental illness or struggled with anxiety, depression, anything like that. But how she's treated by her parents and how she's brought up and how it's not dealt with, it's all quite hard in some aspects. It is a moving book and it does really make you feel things. I will give it a 3-star, and it's mainly because it is a very good book and I don't want to diminish that, but I cannot say I enjoyed it. Okay, more coffee please. Next, we have the next book I read, which was recommended by the same YouTuber, and this is Infamous by Lex Crocher. Straight away, I'm just going to tell you, I give this a 1-star. I did not enjoy it. I was very bored. I was very annoyed. I was very fed up. I thought it'd be my type of book because I love Bridgerton, and it's set that kind of era and it's got that kind of style to it. It's got those kind of rules, but it's also got some kind of pride, same-sex relationships in, which I really liked that part about the book. Why is it just I record and I think my face just becomes itchy and my nose and my mouth and just okay. So this is about a girl called Edith. However, she likes to be called Eddie. She doesn't really want to get married. She's not interested in how kind of women are supposed to be the work, the housekeeper, or the lady of the house, let's say. She's not interested in that. She wants to be a writer, and she gets done over by this writer that she's obsessed with. Her best friend is in love with her. However, her best friend is trying to wed to live her life normally, and I thought I would really enjoy it, and I got very bored, very fed up. 1-star. Next up, we have The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. So one of my favourite books ever is The Kind Worth Killing, which is it's the first book, but you don't necessarily have to read them together. I would recommend The Kind Worth Killing first. It makes more sense to read that because there are characters from that book in this one. I loved this book. I'm so glad we got a follow-up. Really, really happy with how this went. The Kind Worth Killing, I would give a 5, or actually a 10-star. So this book I give a 4.5. It didn't hit as well for me as The Kind Worth Killing. However, it still hit pretty damn hard. So we're going to go for a 4.5 for The Kind Worth Saving. This follows a police detective that was in the first book, and he has been hired to follow somebody's husband because she believes he's cheating. He's become a private investigator. He started off as a teacher, and he actually taught this woman that's hired him. He then moved to a police officer, which you'll see him as an officer in The Kind Worth Killing, and then in this book he is now a private detective. He is hired to follow the husband. She believes her husband is cheating. He doesn't witness, he hears gunfire and finds the mistress and the husband both dead. However, he suspects foul play. He doesn't believe one of them shot the other than themselves, although that's how it looked. So she is currently under investigation. However, she isn't aware of this. I loved it. Such a good book. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Next up, I read The Maid, and this is by Nina Price. I haven't put this on my Instagram, so we're going to do that together now, because anything from the kind we're saving... Why did I sit on the floor? I just wanted to be near my book wall, but I'm stiff and it hurts. Okay. This book I absolutely loved. I think I need to get a cushion. BRB. Okay, so this is a cozy mystery, and I do mean it when I say cozy. It's really sweet, really adorable. So Molly is our protagonist, and she works as a maid in this hotel. There's a murder and she's framed for it. It's such a good book. There are some sad moments and she's quite oblivious to, like, I don't know whether it's how people act. I think it's more like she's quite oblivious to kind of facial expressions or what people are really kind of trying to do. Like, she just thinks of everyone has got like a good heart. I don't know, like, if you read it, you'll understand what I mean. I give this one a 5-star. I did love it. And we're going to put this on my Instagram now. My Instagram, I am just... Okay, so let's record it so I can pop it on the screen as to what I'm doing at the same time. Okay, screen recorder. Have decided to update my stories on all the books I've recently read, as I kinda fell behind. And then we'll do like that. Okay, done. Okay, and then this. Okay, lovely. Okay, and the next step I'll do my phone picture. Okay, and then loved this cozy mystery. There we go. Add to story. We highly recommend this one. Next up, we have, from that reaction, can you guess what I rated this? This is like a 1-star. Hook, Line, Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This one is like the follow-up to It Happened One Summer, which I really enjoyed, and I'm keeping It Happened One Summer. This book I'm actually going to get rid of. It's just, let's just put it on the story. Let's put it on the gram. 1 out of 10. Did not enjoy. The story. In the first book, we had Piper, and this follows her sister, Hannah, and the main protagonist, Hannah and Fox. And Fox is very much like, he thinks he's too attractive to be in a relationship, and he thinks women are just going to treat him as like a pit stop, and is very, woe is me, I'm so handsome and I just can't stick a relationship. It's very, like, it just feels a bit pathetic. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but he really bugged me. I was not interested at all. And like, it was constantly him having to pleasure himself because Hannah's around, and it's just, it was such a turn off. It was just not the one. Hannah was okay as a protagonist. I didn't connect with her. I loved her career aspirations and that side of things with this book. That was the only part that really kept me going, that really interested me. Was I liked that she was like into music, wanted to be a music producer. It interested me the type of things she listened to, and like song recommendations, that type of thing in the book was fun, but it was a bit yuck. Next, I read The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, and as you can see by all the tabs, I did annotate this one. I loved this book. This is a 5. I think this might even be a new favourite of mine. This was a 5 out of 5. It's very dark. There's a lot of like trigger warnings and a lot of sensitive topics, like women being treated really badly. There's a lot of like harsh things in this book, and for quite a dark book, I'm surprised how much I loved it. The writing was excellent, the story was excellent, it was very cinematic. The main character, it surprised me how much I liked her. So her name was Shay, and even the guy that she meets up with, what was his name? Jamie. So Shay and Jamie, those two characters were fantastically written. The side characters were really well written, and it made you hate people very easily. This book, I could tell you so much about this book. I loved it. I do believe I have a video where I read this book throughout it, so I'll pop that at the top so you can click on that if you're interested. But I do recommend it. If you're quite sensitive, don't pick it up. Easy 5-star. We need to pop this on the gram. On the gram. So this one, 10 out of 10. Loved, loved, loved. Some sensitive topics in this one though. Story. Then we have, I think we only have 2 books left. Right, okay. Beach read, 5 out of 5. I'm actually surprised at the amount of 5 and 4-star books I've read. This is actually really good for me. That's so good. 5-star is Beach read. This is my favourite Emily Henry book. So this is about our main characters, January and Gus. They're both writers. They have both got writer's block. They end up living next to each other, and they decide to swap genres for the summer and see who can be published first. He usually writes literary fiction and she usually writes romance. So they swap genres, and every week on a Friday, they do some research for literary fiction and he shows her the kind of thing that inspires him. And then on a Saturday, she will take him on like dates for like the romance type of research. And there is so much more to it than in this book than the romance side. They've both got like a past that have kind of like broken them a little bit and made them quite sensitive. His you don't know about until quite late on in the book, so I'm not going to discuss that. But for January, she has decided she no longer believes in that happy ending, because as her father has died, she also finds out that he had another lover other than her mum. And she takes that so hard. This book it touches on some wonderful topics. Well, not wonderful, some like deep topics. It's really good read. Absolutely fell in love with these characters. Wasn't too bothered about the side characters, although they were charming and sweet. I just didn't care too much. I loved January and Gus. Loved the small town, the beach vibes, everything about it. We're giving it 5-star. We do recommend. Okay. So, beach read. We are 10 out of 10. A new fave romance read. That's what I on. Okay, I'm sorry. Then we have another Emily Henry book. This is her latest book, and this is Happy Place, and I loved it. It's not my favourite Emily Henry book. Beach read is definitely my favourite. Just trying to think, was there anything that actually annoyed me about this book? Like, was there anything at all? I don't think there was. I think I'm giving this a 5-star as well. Okay, so this is about 6 friends, 3 couples, go on the same holiday every year. This is the last time they'll be going on this holiday getaway, as the cottage that they're usually staying is being sold. So a couple of them have secrets which they're keeping withheld because they want to make sure that this holiday is, as it's the last in this cottage, it's the best one, or it's, most precious. We are following, what's her name? Harriet. Okay, so Harriet and Wynne are our main kind of characters. I do believe we only follow Harriet, and it changes between when they were first going on these holidays, when she first met Wynne, when it was just the 3 girls, and how it developed into being more friends, more people going on this holiday. And then we've got the current timeline, and Wynne and Harriet are, they were engaged to be married, and then Win ended the engagement. However, they didn't tell their friends, and they are fake dating. They are pretending to still be together, and it's kind of about why they broke up, their love story, the friendships in this book, the happy place. I really enjoyed it. It was wonderful, and I don't usually like books that are like, oh, we've split up and now we're back together, especially because if you're in love, why'd you split up in the first place? Yet this book made it so touching. It was just fantastic. I really, really loved it. So that's a 5-star. That's a recommend. We're adding to the gram. Okay. 10 out of 10. Another great Emily Henry read. That's story. So then we do a story. Here's that one. Highlight books. Next one. Highlight books. Next one. Highlight books. Highlight books. There we go. We should now be up to date with all the books I've already shared on my Instagram, which I like. So those are the 17 books I've read so far this year. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you find some new books you want to pick up. And I hope to see you hanging around in watching other videos. Please, if you'd like to discuss anything, please comment. Please tell me what books you're reading. I do like to talk to people on here. I just don't currently have many comments. Have a super duper good one. I hope that was somewhat interesting. I'm going to try and cut it down a little bit, because as I'm recording this, I can see we've been recording for 41 minutes and we're hoping to not keep it too long. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Have a super duper good one. I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.